On the night of my son's birthday, I had just set the homemade cake on the table when he grabbed Marcus' hand and made a wish. I want Uncle Marcus to be my dad. The whole room full of relatives fell silent.
Doctor.
Vivian Liu smiled and patted his head. Kids say the darndest things, Ethan. Don't take it personally. She told me not to mind, but her hand casually helped Marcus adjust a cufflink that had slipped to his wrist. It was a Tiffany silver cufflink. I recognized it. Last month, I'd seen it on Vivian's phone. Shed messaged Marcus, saying this one would suit him. Marcus bent down and touched AJ's head.
AJ, wishes don't come true if you say them out loud.
His tone was gentle, and he stood there naturally, as if he belonged beside the cake, as if it were normal for my son to hold his hand, as if that absurd wish were just a passing comment. I glanced down at my phone. The screen was still on the DNA Diagnostic Center booking page. Tomorrow morning at 9:30. The test kit had already been delivered to my office. I'd originally thought if the results were fine, I'd endure it one more time. The kid was young, Vivian was busy with work, and Marcus had just transferred back to New York from London. Maybe it really was just an old friendship, like she said. But at that moment, watching my son look up at Marcus with those eyes, I suddenly lost the strength to even click in and confirm the appointment.
What could blood prove?
That I deserve to keep being trampled under their feet? AJ urged again. Dad, cut the cake already. He was calling me, but his eyes were fixed on the gift box in Marcus' hands. I set down the cake knife. Vivian frowned. Ethan, what are you doing? It's the kid's birthday.
I know.
I looked at AJ.
Say your wish again. AJ's smile froze and he shrank back behind Vivian. Vivian's face darkened immediately. Are you really holding a grudge against a 7-year-old? It was just a joke.
Do you have to make a scene tonight?
Aunt Linda quickly tried to smooth things over. Oh, kids don't know any better. Whoever buys him toys, he likes them. Marcus also chuckled and pushed the gift box forward.
Ethan, don't misunderstand.
AJ and I just get along.
I spend time with him.
Spend time.
I turned to Vivian.
She avoided my gaze and reached for the cake knife.
Let's just cut the cake.
Don't make a scene.
I pressed down on the handle. Her fingers brushed against the back of my hand and quickly pulled away, as if burned. Suddenly I remembered the first time AJ had a fever, 3 years ago. Vivian was at an out-of-town meeting. At 2 in the morning, I rushed him to Mount Sinais ER. That night, his fever hit 40 degrees, and he lay limp in my arms, crying for his mom. I soothed him while video calling Vivian. She answered with the Marriott Marquis Conference Center in the background. She said, Ethan, I really can't leave right now.
You take care of him.
I said okay. Later, when AJ's fever broke, he fell asleep clinging to my neck. Back then, I thought the title of dad wasn't something you had to fight for. I picked him up from school every day, made him porridge, helped him with homework, memorized his allergies, and knew he'd kick off the blanket before coughing in the middle of the night. Those things couldn't be replaced by a few burgers, a few remote control cars, or a few weekends at the amusement park. Now I see, I was too confident. Marcus opened the gift box. Inside was a Gizmo Watch 2 with a blue-black strap. When the screen lit up, a cartoon rocket popped up.
AJ's eyes lit up instantly.
Wow.
Uncle Marcus.
He threw himself at Marcus, hugging his waist. Marcus caught him steadily and laughed.
Like it?
I already saved my number in it. Whenever you miss me, just press and you'll find me. Vivian gently nudged AJ. Say thank you to Uncle Marcus. AJ looked up. Thank you, Dad Marcus. The air went still again. This time, no one laughed. Vivian's expression shifted slightly, and she said quietly, AJ, don't call him that. AJ pouted, but Uncle Marcus said if I want to, I can. He doesn't mind. The smile on Marcus' face finally faded a little. He looked at me.
Kids will be kids.
I picked up my phone and clicked into the booking page.
Cancel.
The system popped up a confirmation prompt.
I pressed it.
Vivian watched my movements. What are you doing? Canceling something unnecessary. Her face grew even more strained. What's your passive-aggressive problem? I slipped the phone back into my pocket, picked up the cake knife, and made the first cut.
The blade pressed into the cream, and the strawberry slid slightly to the side.
AJ reached for the biggest piece.
I didn't hand it to him.
I placed that piece in front of Marcus. Everyone at the table stared at me. Marcus was stunned too. I said, since AJ wants you to be his dad so badly, you get the first slice. Vivian shot up. Ethan, I kept cutting the second piece. This time I gave it to Vivian. The third piece I set in front of AJ. AJ looked at me with hurt eyes. Dad, I want the rocket piece. The rocket was something I'd pieced together from fondant bit by bit. It worked until 1 in the morning. my fingers red from the hot sugar syrup because AJ had been obsessed with space for the past 2 months, clutching his picture book every night before bed and asking me if rockets could really fly to the moon.
Id planned to tell him after he blew out the candles that Id already bought tickets for next weekend to the American Museum of Natural History.
Just 2 tickets. For him and me. Now that fondant rocket was sitting on Marcus' plate, I looked at AJ.
If you want it, ask Uncle Marcus.
AJ's eyes reddened instantly. He turned to Vivian. Mom, Dad is so mean. Vivian pulled him into her arms, holding back her anger. Ethan, do you have to do this tonight?
Do what? Hez only 7.
Yeah.
I wiped the knife clean and set it back on the plate. 7 years old. He knows who bought him a watch. He should also know who made him the cake. Aunt Linda coughed. Ethan, don't be so insecure. The kid likes having adults around. It means your family is welcoming.
I looked up at her.
Aunt Linda, if it were your husband's birthday and you held another man's hand in front of everyone and asked him to be your husband, would your husband be okay with that? Aunt Linda's face went cold and she said nothing more. Vivian was breathing hard, her chest heaving. Marcus pushed the cake back and lowered his voice. Ethan, I just came to celebrate AJ's birthday. If you have a problem with me, we can talk privately. Don't make things hard for Vivian. Ji, he said her name so smoothly. Before I could respond, AJ jumped in, frantic. Uncle Marcus didn't do anything wrong. You're always mean to him. He shoved his plate forward and the cream from the cake smeared onto the tablecloth. I don't want your cake anymore. When those words fell, the candles hadn't fully gone out yet. White smoke slowly drifted up from the number 7. I stared at the pushed away cake, and something in my chest felt like it had been lightly tapped.
Not hard.
But it hit right where an old wound still ached. I bent down and picked up the Party City astronaut crown that had fallen on the floor. Id queued up at the mall that afternoon to get it, and the rim still had a sticker that said "Birthday, Little Astronaut." AJ had worn it for a minute, but as soon as Marcus took out the watch, he decided the crown was too childish and tossed it under his chair. I placed the crown on the table.
Fine.
Vivian frowned.
Fine, what?
I unlocked my phone and pulled up my calendar. American Museum of Natural History parent-child tickets refunded. Sur la table parent-child baking class cancelled. Next month's Juilliard prep course renewal reminder deleted. Vivian finally realized something was wrong and reached for my phone. Ethan, don't you dare pull this face in front of everyone. I dodged her hand.
We have guests.
I won't argue.
She let out a sigh of relief. The next second, I looked at Marcus. Since AJ likes you so much, you take him home tonight.
Marcus' smile froze at the corners of his mouth.
AJ hadn't caught the underlying meaning yet, and his eyes lit up again. Really? Uncle Marcus can drive me in his car?
I nodded.
Yes.
Vivian's expression completely changed.
Ethan, don't be ridiculous.
Who's being ridiculous? I grabbed my jacket, the chair legs scraping against the floor with a sound that grated on the ears. Vivian, I paid for this dinner. I made the cake. I booked the venue. I brought the kid here. The rest of his wishes? Let his new dad handle them. The excitement slowly faded from AJ's face. Marcus Adams' apple bobbed. I have plans tonight. It might not work. I smiled. When he called you Dad Marcus, it seemed to work fine. Vivian couldn't hold back anymore and lowered her voice.
Ethan, that's enough.
I looked at her. Her eyes were full of reproach.
No panic. No guilt.
As if my only mistake at this birthday party was not continuing to smile and hand that fondant rocket to the kid. Not continuing to smooth things over for her. Not continuing to save face for Marcus. I took the cashmere scarf from the back of the chair.
It was Vivian's.
I handed it to her. Enjoy the rest of your dinner. She didn't take it. Her voice was tight.
Where are you going?
I glanced at AJ. He was clutching the watch Marcus had given him, his mouth drooping, looking wronged and stubborn. Before, when he acted like this, I'd be the first to crouch down and comfort him. Today I stood still.
Home.
Vivian immediately said, "What about AJ?" I stopped at the door and turned around.
Didn't he already make his wish tonight?
AJ's face went pale. Marcus instinctively took half a step back. That half step was subtle. But I saw it. Vivian saw it too. For the first time, a flicker of panic crossed her face. When I got home, the living room light was still on. On the sideboard were the birthday party favors I'd packed that morning. Each one had a NASA pin, a candy bag, and a thank you card ID personally put in. AJ had written the cards. The first one was crooked. He thought it was ugly, crumpled it up, and threw it away. I picked it up, smoothed it out, and told him, "It's okay, Dad's handwriting was ugly when I was little too." He leaned on the table and asked me, "Will Mom laugh at me?"
I said, Mom will only think you're cute.
He smiled so happily that day. Now the favors were neatly stacked on the cabinet, like a row of little boxes waiting to be taken away. I took off my jacket and hung it back on the rack. My phone buzzed a dozen times. Vivian was calling. I didn't answer. She rarely called me this many times in a row. Over the years, it was always me reaching out to her more. When AJ had his first field day in kindergarten, she said she had an emergency surgery.
I sent her 9 photos.
She didn't reply until after 11 that night. Got it.
Thanks.
When AJ was teething and had a fever, I called her to ask where the fever reducer was. She didn't pick up. 2 hours later, she texted back. Was in a meeting. I never asked if it was true or not. In a family, someone has to swallow the anger. Id swallowed so much that I'd slowly forgotten I could feel pain. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a WhatsApp message. She didn't reply until after 11 p.m.
Got it. Thanks.
When AJ had a teething fever, I called her to ask where the fever reducer was. She didn't answer. 2 hours later, she texted, was in a meeting. I never questioned whether it was true or not. In a family, someone has to swallow the anger. I swallowed so much that I forgot I could feel pain. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a WhatsApp message. Vivian, what exactly do you mean? The guests are still here, and you just left us? Vivian, AJ is crying. Vivian, you're a grown man. Why are you holding a grudge against a kid? I stared at the last line, my fingers pausing for a few seconds. Then I turned my phone face down on the coffee table. In the kitchen, there was still the soup I'd made that morning. Chicken noodle soup. AJ liked to chew on the noodles, and Vivian liked the clear broth on top. I walked over, turned off the keep warm setting, and poured the soup down the garbage disposal. The steam rose up, carrying a faint sweetness. In the past, I couldn't bear to waste it. Today, watching it drain away, I felt a strange emptiness in my chest. The door lock clicked at 10:30. Vivian came in with AJ. AJ's eyes were red, and he was still wearing the watch Marcus had given him, refusing to take it off even for bed. Vivian threw her bag onto the couch as soon as she entered. Ethan, you were way out of line today. I stood at the kitchen door.
Did Marcus leave?
Her face stiffened.
He had an emergency. What kind of emergency?
Do you really need to ask that?
I nodded.
No, I don't.
AJ tugged at Vivian's sleeve and whispered, Mom, I'm hungry.
Vivian looked at me.
That gesture was too familiar. AJ was hungry. Look at me. Clothes dirty? Look at me.
School project not done. Look at me.
Her business trip luggage not packed. Look at me. Whenever she looked, I would automatically take over. Tonight, I didn't move.
Vivian waited 2 seconds, then frowned.
The kid says he's hungry. Didn't you hear?
I heard.
Then why are you just standing there?
I turned off the kitchen light. There is frozen pizza in the fridge.
You know how to cook it.
AJ froze. Dad, I don't want pizza. I want the noodles you make.
I looked at him.
Tears were still clinging to the corners of his eyes, but his hand kept touching that watch. Before, if he said that, I'd go into the kitchen no matter how tired I was. Mac and cheese, you had to melt the cheese just right, not overcook the pasta, boil it for 7 minutes, and sprinkle a little parsley on top. AJ didn't like parsley, so I'd pick it out for him. Today, I said, if you want noodles, ask Mom to make them. Vivian's voice was tight.
Are you really going to take this out on a kid?
Vivian. I looked at her.
I didn't throw a plate today.
I didn't yell at him. I didn't say anything nasty in front of the relatives. I just gave back to you what you've always taken for granted. Her eyes went cold. You're acting like a stranger right now.
I smiled faintly.
The Ethan you knew. The one you were familiar with, he couldn't hold on anymore when your son wished for a new dad at the restaurant. AJ suddenly burst into tears. I didn't switch dads. I was just joking. I crouched down and looked at him. This was the first time tonight I'd met his eyes. Then why did you call him Dad, Marcus? His crying softened and he sniffled. Because he told me to. He said it makes us look close. Vivian's face changed. I looked at her. Her lips moved. Marcus was probably just teasing him.
Yeah.
I stood up. He teased him. You heard it. And you didn't stop it.
The kid followed along, and you didn't think anything of it.
Vivian's voice tightened.
I already told him off today.
You said, don't call him that?
I looked at the watch on AJ's wrist. You didn't say he couldn't call him that. The living room fell silent. AJ clung to Vivian's leg. Vivian, uncomfortable under my gaze, turned and went to the kitchen to cook the pizza. She hadn't been in the kitchen much lately. She put the pizza in before the oven was even preheated. A few minutes later, the cheese was burning and the counter was a mess. AJ stood nearby, frowning.
Mom, Dad doesn't cook it like that.
Vivian fumbled for a towel, burning her hand and letting out a low hiss. I sat on the couch and didn't move. AJ looked at me several times. I didn't look up. My phone buzzed again. This time it was the class WhatsApp group. The teacher reminded everyone to bring the My Family poster board project tomorrow, requiring a photo of the three of us. I opened my photo album. The last family photo of the three of us was from 2 years ago. AJ's kindergarten graduation. Vivian was an hour late, and when she stood next to us, her makeup wasn't even touched up. In that photo, AJ was leaning against me, I was holding his diploma, and Vivian stood on the other side, her phone still glowing with work messages. Later, the teacher asked for a family photo to put on the wall. AJ chose one of him, Vivian and Marcus at the New York Aquarium. I was on a business trip that day. Vivian said she was taking the kid to a colleague's dinner. In the photo, Marcus was bent over helping AJ hold a jellyfish lamp, and Vivian was standing behind them smiling. I asked her why she didn't tell me Marcus was there. She said, just ran into him. Looking back, how many just ran into him moments were there? The pizza was half burnt. AJ took 2 bites and put it down.
This tastes bad.
Vivian was already in a bad mood and her face darkened. Eat it anyway, even if it's bad.
I want Dad to make it.
Your dad's having a meltdown today.
I looked up.
Vivian seemed to realize Shed said something wrong and turned away. AJ's lips quivered, and tears threatened to fall again. I picked up my phone and opened the class group settings. My nickname had been AJ's dad.
Id used that name for 5 years.
Kindergarten, elementary school, after-school programs, chess NYC, swimming, all the teachers called me that. I deleted those 4 words and changed it to Ethan Chen.
Saved successfully.
Someone in the group quickly sent a question mark. The teacher messaged me privately. AJ's dad. Why did you change your nickname? I replied, from now on please contact AJ's mom for school matters. The typing indicator appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. Vivian came out with the bowl and saw it.
What are you doing now?
Changing my nickname. Is that necessary? I put my phone on the coffee table.
Yes.
AJ suddenly raised his wrist. But Uncle Marcus' watch has Mom's number and his number too. I looked at the watch.
What about mine?
AJ blinked. He looked down and tapped the screen. Speed dial 1, Marcus. 2, Mom. 3, Grandma Liu.
Not me.
Vivian walked over, her face a little flustered. Marcus set up the watch. He probably didn't know your number.
I looked up at her.
He didn't know.
Did you? She was caught off guard. AJ whispered, Mom said Dad is always home, so there's no need to set it. Those words sucked the air out of the room.
I looked at Vivian.
Her lips pressed together, and after a long pause, she said, I just said it offhand. Offhand? So my place in this family for all these years depended on whether she felt like including me in a watch. I reached out and picked up the DNA paternity test kit from the coffee table. When Vivian saw the words on the box, her face went white. Ethan, when did you buy that? I didn't answer.
The box was still sealed.
The seal was intact. I stared at it for a few seconds, then put it back in the drawer. Vivian's voice trembled. Are you doubting AJ? AJ didn't understand, but seeing Vivian panicked made him nervous too.
Dad, what are you doing?
I closed the drawer.
Nothing.
Vivian grabbed my arm.
Explain yourself.
I pulled my arm back. It's not needed anymore. Her eyes reddened, as if she were the one who had been wronged.
Ethan, you're being cruel.
I looked at her, then at the watch that didn't have my number.
Yeah.
I picked up my pajamas and headed to the guest room. Ill sleep in the guest room tonight. Vivian stood there, finally silent. Just before the door closed, I heard AJ ask softly, Mom, is Dad leaving us? Vivian's voice was hoarse.
No, honey.
He loves you the most. I held the doorknob and paused.
That line used to trap me.
Now, it just felt cold. The next morning, the alarm went off at 6:30. I opened my eyes and stared at the unfamiliar ceiling for a few seconds before remembering I'd slept in the guest room. There was no sound outside. Usually at this time, it'd already be up, frying eggs, heating milk, and pulling AJ's uniform out of the dryer. Vivian left at 7:40. Her coffee had to be low sugar, and her toast had to have the crust cut off. AJ had to finish breakfast by 7:20, or the traffic would be bad. These schedules had been in my head for so long that I could do them with my eyes closed. Today, I turned off the alarm and rolled over. At 7:10, Vivian's voice came from outside the door.
Ethan?
I didn't answer. After a moment, she knocked.
Are you still not up?
I sat up, leaning against the headboard.
Yeah. She sounded confused.
AJ's going to be late.
You take him.
There was a 2-second silence outside the door.
Are you still mad?
No. Then get up and make breakfast. The kid can't go to school on an empty stomach. I got out of bed and opened the door. Vivian was wearing a shirt dress, her hair only half curled, clearly just out of the master bedroom. She was holding a lipstick, her brow furrowed, as if I was delaying her important schedule. There is bread and milk in the fridge, I said. She stared at me. Ethan, don't use the kid as leverage. AJ came out of his room with his backpack. His collar flipped up, his tie crooked. When he saw me, he frowned first.
Dad, where's my poster board project?
I looked at him.
What poster board project?
The one the teacher mentioned yesterday.
He stomped his foot. My family.
You didn't do it. You always help me do it. He said it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Vivian immediately looked at me.
You saw the group message?
Why didn't you remind him?
I walked to the table and poured myself a glass of water.
I did remind you.
School matters are now your priority.
Her face darkened.
I was so busy last night.
When did I have time to check the group?
I took a sip of water, then explained it to the teacher. AJ panicked. But it's due today.
Everyone else has one.
I'll get in trouble.
I put the glass down.
You can draw it?
I don't know how. Then leave it blank. AJ's tears spilled over.
Dad, you never used to be like this.
I looked at him. And you never used to wish for someone else to be your dad. His face went pale. He turned and ran back to his room. Vivian's voice was very low.
Are you trying to break him?
Vivian has 7 years old.
So what?
A 7-year-old deserves your emotional withdrawal?
As she said that, her phone rang. I'm begging you. Just this once, she said. I sat up, leaning against the headboard. Yeah.
She acted like she didn't understand.
AJ's going to be late for school. You call him? There was a 2-second silence outside the door. Are you still mad?
No.
Then get up and make breakfast. The kid can't go to school on an empty stomach. I got out of bed and opened the door. Vivian was wearing a blouse and skirt, her hair only half curled, clearly just out of the master bedroom. She held a lipstick in her hand, her brows furrowed as if I was delaying her important schedule.
There is bread and milk in the fridge, I said.
She stared at me. Ethan, don't take it out on the kid. AJ came out of his room with his backpack. His collar flipped up, his tie crooked. He saw me and frowned first.
Dad, where's my poster?
I looked at him.
What poster?
The one the teacher assigned yesterday.
He stomped his foot.
My family.
You didn't do it?
You always help me with it.
He said it like it was a given. Vivian immediately turned to me.
You saw the group message. Why didn't you remind him?
I walked to the table and poured myself a glass of water.
I did remind you.
School matters should be handled by you first.
Her face darkened. I was so busy last night. When did I have time to check the group? I took a sip of water.
Then explain it to the teacher.
AJ panicked.
But it's due today?
Everyone else has one.
I'll get in trouble.
I put the glass down.
You can draw it?
I don't know how.
Then leave it blank. AJ's tears spilled over. Dad, you never used to be like this. I looked at him. And you never used to wish for someone else to be your dad? His face went pale. He turned and ran back to his room. Vivian's voice was very low.
Are you trying to break him?
Vivian is 7 years old.
So what? A 7-year-old deserves your emotional withdrawal?
As she said that, her phone rang. It was a voice call from the hospital department group. She glanced at it and picked up immediately, her tone switching fast. Chief, I'm on my way.
Whatever was said on the other end made her expression change.
Okay, I understand.
He'll be there in 20 minutes.
After hanging up, she grabbed her bag.
I have a pre-op meeting.
You take AJ.
I stood still.
She reached the entrance, noticed I hadn't followed, and turned back. Ethan, don't make a scene.
I have something this morning.
She froze.
What do you have?
I picked up my laptop bag from the couch.
Work.
A flicker of surprise crossed Vivian's eyes. She probably hadn't associated the word work with me in a long time. After AJ was born, I left Gensler. Later, I took on freelance CAD projects and worked from home. My income wasn't bad, but my time was fragmented and I was worn down by household chores. Vivian always said, since you work from home, you're more flexible. And with that flexibility, I became the safety net for every last-minute crisis in this family. I slung my laptop bag over my shoulder. Today's client review? I need to be there by 8:30. Vivian frowned.
You never mentioned it before.
I did.
She didn't respond. I knew she couldn't remember. It brought it up at dinner last week. AJ was watching cartoons, and Vivian was texting Marcus back. She just hummed in acknowledgement. AJ came out of his room crying, holding a crumpled piece of paper.
Dad, I don't know how to draw.
I looked at the paper. In the top left corner, it said my family. Below, there were 3 stick figures. The middle one, taller, had the word Marcus written on its shirt. I asked him, who is this? AJ clutched the paper's edge and whispered, I drew it wrong yesterday. Vivian reached for it, but I took it first.
Her face turned ugly.
I placed the paper on the table. I didn't tear it up or yell, "Take it to school." AJ panicked. No. The kids will laugh at me, then draw it again.
There is no time.
So you need to learn to deal with the consequences of not having time.
I grabbed my car keys and headed for the door.
Vivian chased after me.
You're really not taking him?
Really not.
Ethan, her voice finally had heat. I stopped. Marcus didn't have time last night. Maybe he can try today. She froze. AJ cried louder. No. Uncle Marcus has to go to work in the morning. I bent down to put on my shoes.
I have to go to work too.
As the door closed behind me, I heard Vivian's hurried footsteps inside. She was soothing AJ while scrolling through her phone. The elevator went down. I stood inside, looking at myself in the mirror. My shirt was wrinkled,
There were dark circles under my eyes.
but my shoulders suddenly felt lighter. By the time I got to the conference room, the client hadn't arrived yet.
Jay, the intern, handed me the files and smiled.
Ethan, you're early today.
You used to cut it close? I opened my laptop. It'll be early from now on. He blinked but didn't ask. At 9:16, my phone rang. It was the teacher. I stared at the screen until it stopped ringing. Less than 30 seconds later, it rang again.
I answered.
Mr. Chen, AJ was late today and didn't turn in his poster. Hez very upset. His mom's phone is off.
Can you come in?
I looked at the conference room door. The client had arrived. I said, "Teacher, AJ's mom and I are adjusting our family responsibilities. For things like this, please contact her first." The teacher's voice hesitated. "But you've always been the one handling it."
Not necessarily anymore.
There was a pause.
In the background, I heard AJ's tearful voice. "Dad, can you come get me?" I held the phone, my fingers slowly tightening. He rarely begged me like this. Every time he did, I went. Even in a downpour, even when I had a fever, even when a project was urgent. I heard him sniffle. "Dad, I don't want to be at school." The teacher said softly, "Mr. Chen, maybe you can comfort him first?"
I spoke.
AJ. The crying quieted a little. "Your mom and Uncle Marcus numbers are in your watch."
He got anxious.
But Uncle Marcus isn't picking up. I lowered my eyes.
Then wait for your mom.
Shez in surgery.
She'll be out eventually.
AJ cried out, "Why are you like this?"
You're my dad.
People in the conference room were looking at me. I raised my hand to signal them to wait. Then I said into the phone yesterday, "When you wished for Uncle Marcus to be your dad, I heard it too." AJ's crying stopped short. I continued today, "Learn one thing. When you say a wish out loud, people take it seriously." He screamed, "I hate you."
I closed my eyes.
When I opened them, I saw Jay through the glass wall, awkwardly looking away. I said, "Yeah." Then I hung up. The meeting started. I put my phone on silent. The screen lit up again and again. Vivian.
The teacher.
An unknown number. And Marcus. I didn't answer any of them. The review ended close to noon. When I walked out of the conference room, I saw Vivian had sent me over 20 messages. "Have you lost your mind? The kid is crying at school, and you just don't care? I'm in surgery. Marcus is in clinic too.
What's a kid supposed to do?
Ethan, you never used to be like this."
What are you trying to prove?
I scrolled down.
Marcus had sent one too. "Ethan, don't drag the kid into your marital issues."
AJ was really scared today.
I stared at the line and laughed.
He saved his own number in the watch. He didn't correct the kid when he called him Dad Marcus. Now when the school called him, he was an outsider.
I replied, "Aren't you good at comforting him?"
Marcus was typing.
Then stopped.
A few minutes later, he sent, "I'm just a friend. It's not my place to interfere in your family matters."
I looked at it for a long time.
Then I screenshotted it.
Saved it.
At 4 p.m. The teacher called again. I answered. Her voice was tired. "Miss Chen, who's picking up AJ today? His mom says her surgery isn't over yet."
Contact his mom.
But I cut her off. Or contact the first contact on his watch. There was a pause.
Mr. Wong says has not available.
I looked out the window. Traffic crawled below, sunlight glaring off windshields. "Then please follow the school's procedure." The teacher sighed. "Has been crying, saying you don't want him anymore."
I didn't say anything.
She handed the phone to AJ. "Dad."
His voice was hoarse.
I held the phone.
Yeah.
Come get me.
"I won't call Uncle Marcus Dad anymore." It came too fast. Like he realized his toy was broken and was trying to retrieve the old one.
I asked, "Why?"
AJ sniffled. "Because Uncle Marcus won't pick up my calls." I let out a soft laugh. Very soft. But he heard it. "Dad, what are you laughing at?"
Nothing.
I checked the time.
Let the teacher call your mom.
AJ suddenly got frantic.
If Uncle Marcus were my dad, he wouldn't be like this. As soon as he said it, he went quiet. I didn't reply. After the call ended, someone called me from outside the office. I put my phone in the drawer and went back to looking at the blueprints. As the drawer closed, I saw the unopened DNA test kit inside. The white box had clean lettering. I used to want an answer. Now the answer had come out on its own. Vivian didn't bring AJ home until 9 p.m. He was passed out on her shoulder, his face streaked with tears from crying. She carried him into his room and came back out, looking like she was at her breaking point.
Ethan, we need to talk.
I was sitting at the table, with 2 documents in front of me.
One was a draft divorce settlement.
The other was a detailed list of household expenses. When Vivian saw the first line, she stopped in her tracks.
What do you mean by this?
You can read?
She walked over and grabbed the settlement. The pages flipped quickly. When she got to the section on asset division and custody arrangements, she looked up sharply. You're not even fighting for custody?
I looked at her.
Didn't you always think I was too controlling? That I was keeping him from bonding with others? She let out a bitter laugh.
Ethan, are you using our son to get back at me?
In not fighting. I pushed the other document toward her. Mortgage, tuition, extracurriculars, insurance, medical bills, household expenses. Here's my share over the past 5 years. If you want custody, well, follow the agreement from now on. Vivian's face darkened. You're counting money with me?
Yeah.
She looked like she'd heard something absurd.
We're married. Not for much longer.
Her fingers tightened on the paper's edge. You want a divorce over what happened at the birthday party?
That little thing?
I pulled out my phone and opened the photo album. The birthday party video played automatically. AJ was holding Marcus' hand, his voice clear. I want Uncle Marcus to be my dad. In the frame, Vivian was smiling, patting his head. Marcus bent down to touch him. Some relatives at the table looked awkward. Others snickered. I was sitting at the edge, still holding the candle. Vivian turned her face away.
Why did you film that?
I didn't.
I opened the chat log. It was from her cousin, Ethan. The atmosphere was so awkward yesterday. I was trying to film AJ blowing out the candles, but I caught this instead. Talk it out when you get home. Don't let it ruin things. Vivian stared at the video and her face finally cracked. I paused it on the frame where she was adjusting Marcus' cufflinks.
Did you give him those?
Her lips pressed together. He transferred back for work. As an old classmate, it's normal to give a gift. I opened another screenshot. Her chat with Marcus.
I'd seen it last night when her phone lit up on the bathroom counter while she was showering.
I didn't scroll much.
Just one message. Marcus, AJ called me dad again today.
Does your husband mind?
Vivian, he won't really hold it against a kid. Marcus, you know him too well. Vivian has a pushover. When she saw the screenshot, the color drained from her face. You went through my phone? That's all you care about right now? She took a deep breath. Ethan, I admit I crossed some boundaries. But don't make things worse.
Then fix it.
I pushed the phone toward her.
Call Marcus now.
Tell him to pick AJ up from school starting tomorrow. Help with homework. Go to parent-teacher conferences. And split the extracurricular fees. Vivian froze.
You know he can't. Why can't he?
He has his own job and life.
And I don't?
She choked. The living room light fell on her face, and for the first time she didn't immediately argue back. I said, Vivian, he can let the kid call him Uncle Marcus. Give him a watch and set himself as the first contact. Take you guys to the New York Aquarium and stand by the cake at the birthday party. But when it comes to pickups, homework, payments, and teacher calls, he suddenly has his own job and life.
Vivian's voice dropped.
Ethan, don't be so harsh. I laughed a little.
That's harsh?
She slapped the agreement onto the table. I won't agree to a divorce. Then I'll file a lawsuit. Don't scare me. I'm moving out tomorrow.
She jerked her head up.
This is your home.
Where are you moving? I looked around the apartment. Bought in the 3rd year of marriage. My parents paid half the down payment, and it covered most of the mortgage over the years. The deed had both my and Vivian's names. Back then, I thought putting her name on it would give her peace of mind. Now, I realized only she was at ease.
Well, split the house proportionally later.
Vivian's face went pale. You really want to draw this line so clearly? I got up and went to the master bedroom to pack my clothes. She followed, standing in the doorway as I took down shirt after shirt.
Ethan, don't do this.
AJ was terrified today. My hands paused for a moment on the folding. She seized on that crack. He cried the whole way home. Said he was scared you wouldn't want him. Hez just a kid.
A lot of what Marcus said was teasing him. He doesn't understand.
I put the clothes into the suitcase. He understands who buys him things. Vivian grew frantic. It's normal for kids to like gifts. He also understands who's easy to push around. Her eyes reddened.
How can you say that about your own son? I zipped up the suitcase.
He cried all day at school today, and his first apology was because Marcus didn't answer his call. Vivian opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Suddenly soft footsteps sounded at the door. AJ stood there in his pajamas holding his stuffed rabbit. He must have woken up and heard us talking. Dad, are you leaving? I looked at him. His little face was pale, his eyes swollen, and he still wore his gizmo watch on his wrist. I said, yeah. He burst into tears and ran over, hugging my leg. I won't let you go. In the past, when he hugged me like that, I'd scoop him up immediately. This time, I just looked down at the top of his head. AJ let go. He shook his head, crying harder.
I won't call Uncle Marcus Dad anymore, and I don't want his watch.
As he spoke, he fumbled to unbuckle the strap. It was a bit tight, and the more he rushed, the harder it was to get off, leaving red marks on his wrist. Vivian crouched down to help him, but he pushed her away and kept looking at me.
Dad, you help me.
I stood still. Vivian finally broke down crying. Ethan, how can you be so heartless? I stared at the watch. Whoever put it on, takes it off. AJ froze. The next second, he yanked harder at the strap. The buckle popped open, and the watch fell to the floor, the screen lighting up for a moment. The quick contact list popped up. Marcus was still first. AJ's crying stopped abruptly, as if he'd been stung by what he saw. I bent down, picked up the watch, and placed it in Vivian's hand. Give it back to him tomorrow.
She didn't catch it properly, and the watch fell onto the carpet by the bed.
Just then, Vivian's phone rang. The screen showed Marcus. All three of us saw it. Vivian hesitated for a second, then answered the call, her hand still on speaker before she could pull it away. Marcus' voice came through. Vivian, is AJ okay? The teacher called me several times today, but I couldn't pick up. Tell Ethan not to drag me into this. I'm just an outsider after all. The room was so quiet you could hear the air conditioner humming. AJ looked up. Tears hung on his face but didn't fall. Vivian's expression was awful.
Marcus, AJ can hear you.
A pause on the other end.
Sorry, I didn't know.
I looked at Vivian. She gripped the phone, her knuckles white. Marcus quickly added, I mean, you two should sort out your marital issues internally. I'm happy AJ likes me, but calling me dad really isn't appropriate.
It wasn't appropriate.
Last night, he hadn't said that. AJ whispered, Uncle Marcus, didn't you say yesterday it was okay? Silence on the other end. Vivian closed her eyes and hung up. AJ stood there, and finally the tears fell. I picked up my suitcase. Vivian blocked the door, her voice trembling.
Ethan, don't leave tonight.
I looked at her. Tomorrow at 9, family court. I'm not going. Then wait for the court notice. I stepped around her and walked to the entrance. AJ ran after me, barefoot on the floor.
Dad!
I paused.
He cried. Don't go.
I won't like Uncle Marcus anymore. I didn't look back.
Whether you like it or not, that's your business.
I opened the door. The hallway lights flickered on. Whether I stay or leave, that's mine. As the door clicked shut, I heard Vivian's muffled sobs from inside, and AJ calling Dad over and over. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in.
My phone buzzed.
A message from Marcus. Ethan, that's not what I meant earlier. I stared at the line, then blocked him without a second thought.
I checked into a hotel near the office.
At 8 the next morning, Vivian called. I was having breakfast downstairs after washing up. Her voice was hoarse.
AJ has a fever.
I stirred my kanji with a spoon. Take him to the hospital. He keeps calling for you. I looked out the window. Morning rush hour traffic was jammed at the intersection. Delivery riders weaving through the gaps, their rear boxes wobbling hard. Back when AJ had a fever, I could always tell from his breathing the moment it changed. Vivian wasn't home then. I'd hold him, take his temperature, wipe him down, give him medicine. Barely sleeping 20 minutes a night. The next day, she'd come back, touch his forehead, and say, you worked hard. Back then, I thought that was enough. Now I realize how easy it is to use a little sweetness as an excuse for a whole bowl of bitterness. Ethan, did you hear me? Vivian's voice turned urgent. I heard you. Then come back. I have a meeting with my lawyer this morning. She paused, her breath catching.
You're really going?
Yeah. AJ is sick.
I set down the spoon. Vivian, when a child is sick, the guardian takes him to the hospital.
You're his mother?
Her voice tightened. You're his father too. Yesterday, you made it very clear how light that title is.
Silence on the other end.
After a few seconds, she spoke softly. I was wrong. I didn't handle it well yesterday.
I've talked to Marcus, and I won't let AJ call him that anymore.
I wiped my hands with a napkin.
Family court at 9.
Her voice shot up. I said, I'm not going. Then we'll go through litigation.
I hung up.
The lawyer was named Jennifer, an old college classmate. She flipped through the materials Id brought and adjusted her glasses. You've prepared thoroughly. Id put together the expense breakdown, mortgage records, child education costs, screenshots of some chats between Vivian and Marcus, and the birthday party video, all in a folder. Jennifer paused when she reached the purchase record for a DNA paternity test kit. Are you still doing this? I shook my head.
No.
She glanced at me but didn't press. If you give up fighting for custody, the process will move faster.
But you need to think it through. She might use the kid to drag you back and forth later.
I know.
Child support?
I'll pay the standard amount.
Extra expenses?
I looked at the papers on the table. Spell it out in the agreement. Medical and educational necessities split proportionally. Extracurriculars, trips, gifts, impulse buys, whoever decides pays.
Jennifer nodded.
Very clear. She bent down to organize the documents. My phone rang again. Ms. Thompson, I answered.
AJ's dad, the child, didn't come to school today.
His mom said Hez home with a fever. Tomorrow is field day at school. You were signed up to build a space model with him. Are you still coming? Space model. Id, almost forgotten.
I signed up a month ago.
AJ wanted to build a rocket. I bought the materials and secretly printed the design at the office.
Can I cancel?
I asked. Ms. Thompson hesitated.
You can, but has been really looking forward to it.
Yesterday he told his classmates his dad was amazing at building models. I stared at the pen on the table. The cap creaked under my grip.
Jennifer looked up at me.
I let go.
Cancel it.
Ms. Thompson sounded reluctant. If he comes tomorrow, he'll be disappointed. Don't refund the registration fee. AJ's dad, I corrected her. Teacher, from now on, just call me Ethan.
A long silence on the line.
Okay, Ethan.
After I hung up, I set the phone down. Jennifer said quietly, "You've changed a lot." I gave a faint smile. You can't just stand in one place waiting for people to step on you. She handed me the draft agreement. I'll send it to her this afternoon. I was about to take it when a commotion broke out outside the door. Ma'am, you can't just go in.
I'm his wife.
The door swung open. Vivian stood there holding AJ, her hair a mess, dark circles deep under her eyes. AJ had a fever patch on his forehead, nestled in her arms, and his eyes reddened the moment he saw me. Dad. His voice was hoarse. Jennifer glanced at me, gathered her files, and stepped out, closing the door. Vivian set AJ on the couch, her voice trembling with suppressed hurt and anger. Ethan, are you happy now? I stood up, got a glass of warm water from the dispenser, and placed it in front of AJ. He reached out to grab my hand. I pulled away. AJ's hand froze mid-air, and tears spilled out instantly.
Dad, I feel terrible.
I said, drink some water.
He shook his head, crying.
Hold me.
Vivian's eyes were red too. He had a fever all night, calling for you the whole time. Ethan, even if you're angry, you can't treat him like this. I looked at the medicine bag in her arms.
What did the doctor say?
Viral infection. Fever keeps coming back. Take the medicine on time. Is that all you can say now? The anger she'd been holding in finally erupted.
When AJ had a fever before, you were more worried than anyone.
Last night, he hit 102 degrees, and you didn't answer calls or texts. I held him alone in line, paid the bills, got the medicine. Do you know how scared I was? I looked at her. Now you know? Vivian froze. Know how scared I used to be. Her lips trembled. My voice was flat. When he was 1.5 and had a febrile seizure, you were at your annual meeting out of town. When he was 3 and hospitalized with pneumonia, you were on duty. When he was 5 and broke out in hives from allergies, you were having dinner with clients. Every time, I held him, waited in line, paid, got medicine, and stayed overnight. I called you, and you told me not to panic.
Now it's your turn.
Tears fell from her eyes. I was really busy back then.
I nodded.
So keep being busy now.
AJ was shaking as he cried.
Dad, don't talk to Mom like that.
I turned to him. Then how should I talk to her?
He froze.
I asked, yesterday, when you let Uncle Marcus be your dad, how should I have talked to you?
He dropped his head, tears hitting his pants one by one. I was wrong.
I didn't respond.
Vivian pulled the watch from her bag and set it on the table.
I already returned it to Marcus.
I looked at her.
Did he take it?
Her face stiffened. I knew it, she said quietly. I left it in his office.
Where is he?
Hez off today.
What about his phone?
She didn't answer. I picked up the watch and turned on the screen. The speed dial contacts were cleared. Only one missed call log remained.
Marcus, 7 times.
All unanswered.
I pushed the watch back. See? He knows exactly when to disappear. Vivian gripped her bag strap, her knuckles white. Ethan, can we go home and talk? Let's talk here. She glanced at the door and lowered her voice.
Do we have to let outsiders see this?
There were plenty of people at the birthday party.
You weren't afraid then?
Her face went pale.
I slid the agreement Jennifer had printed toward her.
Sign it.
Vivian froze when she saw the document. AJ grabbed the corner of the paper. Dad, don't. I didn't pull it back.
AJ, let go.
He shook his head, crying. If you sign it, you won't be my dad anymore. That finally made me look at him. His eyes were so much like mine. When he was born, the nurse handed him to me, and I stared at those eyes for a long time. Vivian was still in the delivery room. The first time I held him, my hands shook so badly. I thought, he'll be a good dad.
I did it for 7 years.
Long enough for him to think that someone buying him a watch could replace me. I said whether I sign or not, he'll still pay child support. AJ didn't understand, crying harder. I don't want money. I want my dad. Yesterday you wanted Uncle Marcus. His little face went white. Vivian stood up sharply. Ethan, I looked at her. You can't just expect me to become whatever you need, whenever you need it. A knock at the door. Jennifer pushed it open a crack.
Ethan, Marcus is here.
Vivian's face changed instantly. AJ looked up too. Marcus stood outside in a gray coat, looking awkward. He probably hadn't expected Vivian to actually come find me, or to run into her at a law firm. Jennifer stepped aside. Marcus walked in, glanced at Vivian, then at me.
Ethan.
I think we need to talk. I leaned back in my chair. Perfect timing. He cleared his throat. I didn't handle the phone call well yesterday, but Vivian and I are really just friends. AJ calling me that was just a kid not knowing better. AJ whispered, Uncle Marcus. Marcus didn't look at him. Vivian saw it. The color drained from her face even more. I pushed the watch across the table to Marcus.
You gave this to him.
He nodded. Birthday gift.
You set the speed dial?
He frowned. I had the store clerk do it.
I tapped the call log.
7 missed calls.
You didn't answer any.
His face reddened. I was busy this morning. And last night, when you said you were just an outsider, were you busy too? Marcus looked at Vivian.
She didn't defend him.
The tension in the room was thick. I slid the family expense breakdown toward him. AJ's tuition, insurance, extracurriculars, medical reserve, daily costs for this year, it's all here. Marcus instinctively stepped back.
A tiny step.
Just like at the birthday party.
I pointed to the field day notice. Tomorrow's school event. The kid wants to build a space model. Since you let him call you dad, why don't you go? Marcus' face went completely stiff. Ethan, don't humiliate me on purpose.
I smiled.
This is humiliating?
Vivian's gaze slowly shifted to him. She finally saw with her own eyes how fast Marcus backed away every time. Marcus' face was rigid. I'm not obligated to pay for any of this. AJ's crying stopped. He looked up at Marcus and asked quietly, Then why did you say I could call you daddy? Marcus' lips moved. After a long pause, he said, Uncle was just joking with you back then.
Just joking with you.
Those 4 words hit like a hammer. The light in AJ's eyes went out completely. Vivian held him tight, tears falling into his hair. I looked down and opened my phone. The DNA paternity test appointment record was still in the abandoned order folder. I tapped into it. Deleted it completely.
The system popped up a notification.
Delete cannot be undone.
I pressed confirm.
Vivian saw what I did, her voice trembling.
Ethan.
I put the phone down and picked up the agreement. No need for proof now. I looked at the 3 of them. One wanted me to keep being the fallback husband. One wanted me to be a dad on call. One wanted a graceful affair, but was afraid of responsibility. I placed the pen in front of Vivian.
Whoever wants the position has to take the responsibility.
Marcus took another step back. This time, Vivian finally couldn't pretend not to see it. Marcus' step was slow, but everyone in the office saw it. Vivian held AJ, her face looking like something had been drained out of her for a moment. She probably never imagined that the man who was gentle and polished in her messages, patient and generous with her child, and stood so composed at the birthday party, would protect himself first when real responsibility came. Marcus sensed the shift in the atmosphere too. He quickly steadied himself, tugging at his coat sleeve.
Ethan, don't make this sound so ugly.
I pushed the agreement a little closer to Vivian. Sign it or not? Vivian didn't look at the agreement. She stared at my phone, her voice barely a whisper.
What did you just delete?
The appointment record.
Her eyes instantly turned red. You actually bought a DNA test?
I didn't say anything.
She set AJ down on the couch and took a step toward me. So these past few days, you've been doubting he's not your child? AJ heard the word child and looked up at me. His fever hadn't fully broken yet. His cheeks were flushed, and his eyes were full of panic. Dad. I opened the drawer and took out the unopened sampling kit, placing it on the desk. The box edges were clean. The seal was still intact. When Vivian saw it, tears streamed down her face. Ethan, how could you go this far? I pushed the box toward her. I didn't open it. She froze. Then I pulled up the materials on my phone one by one.
The birthday party video. The screenshot of the watch's speed dial contacts.
Ms. Thompson's call logs from yesterday and today. The record of the canceled field day registration. The past 5 years of household expense details. And the screenshot of Marcus saying, "I'm just an outsider after all." I placed the phone in front of her.
Vivian, I asked you to come today not to find out whose child he is.
She stared at the screen, her fingers trembling. I continued, I just need to confirm one thing. In this family, do I still have to keep being the person who's always on call? Marcus frowned. There is no need to take it this far between a married couple, is there? Jennifer happened to push the door open and set a glass of warm water in front of AJ. She didn't look at Marcus, only said flatly, "Marcus, this is a conversation between the parties involved. If you don't have a legal standing, you can step out." Marcus' face shifted. Vivian instinctively looked at him. There was still a plea for help in that glance, but Marcus just looked down at his phone, his voice flat. "Vivian, I have clinic appointments this afternoon. I can't stay long." When AJ heard "can't stay long," his little hands slowly gripped the edge of the couch. He had just torn off the watch last night. Today, he heard Marcus say he was leaving again. A child might not be able to articulate an adult's retreat, but he can feel hose pulling away. Vivian looked away. She picked up the agreement from the table, read only 2 pages, then pressed it back down with reddened eyes. "I don't agree." I nodded. Then we moved to the next step. She gritted her teeth. "Ethan, do you have to tear this family apart?" I looked at the sick, listless child in her arms. A family was never complete just because I held it up alone. A flicker of shame passed through her eyes. Suddenly, AJ slid off the couch and stumbled over to me.
Dad, I won't call him that anymore.
He tugged at my sleeve, repeating quietly, "I really want." I looked down at him. His hands were burning hot. Before, whenever he had a fever, he would cling to me, pressing his forehead into my palm, whimpering that he felt bad. I would pick him up and gently pat his back. Today, I just pushed the water glass toward him.
Drink.
He didn't take it. Tears welled up in his eyes. Vivian's voice was hoarse.
Ethan, Hez apologizing to you.
I looked up at her. "What do you want me to do?" She seemed to seize the opportunity, rushing to say, "Go home first. Let's go home and talk slowly. AJ is still sick. He can't stay out here."
Take him back. What about you?
"I'm going back to the hotel." AJ let go of my sleeve. He whispered, "Dad, are you still staying outside?" I looked at him and nodded. His tears fell. "Then what about my space model?" When those words came out, Vivian's face stiffened. She remembered tomorrow's field day too. I said, "The registration has been canceled." AJ froze. A few seconds later, he started crying even harder.
I already told my classmates.
Yeah.
They all know my dad can build rockets.
Yeah.
AJ asked softly, "What do I do tomorrow?"
I didn't answer.
Vivian got anxious.
Ethan, the child is like this, and you're still going to hold a grudge?
I pulled up the cancellation page on my phone and put it in front of her. The field day notice was posted in the group 3 weeks ago. I bought the material kit. I printed the design plans. I even adjusted my schedule with the client for the school event. I looked at her.
Did you know?
Vivian opened her mouth, but no words came out.
She didn't know.
In the past 3 weeks, she had only asked about field day once. She asked, "You're going to that event, right?" "I have a meeting on Wednesday." She hadn't even asked what AJ needed to do. Marcus stood by the door. His phone buzzed again. He looked down and visibly relaxed. "Vivian, I really have to go." Vivian whipped her head toward him. The look in her eyes no longer held a plea for help, only a shred of raw embarrassment. "Marcus, are you free tomorrow?" Marcus paused.
What?
"AJ's school field day." Her voice was so soft, each word seemed squeezed from her throat.
Go with him to build the space model.
AJ looked over too.
There was still a tiny glimmer in his eyes. Marcus avoided the child's gaze, forcing a smile.
I don't know how to do that.
Vivian said. Ethan didn't know how at first either. He learned it for AJ. Marcus' smile completely faded.
"Vivian, you're emotionally unstable right now."
Hearing that, I let out a low laugh. Vivian saw me laugh, and her face turned even paler. Marcus, as if afraid of being dragged in further, picked up his phone.
"He'll go first."
"You two calm down." With that, he didn't even touch AJ's head. The door opened and closed. AJ stood there, his eyes fixed on the door. Vivian pulled him into her arms. This time, he didn't immediately hug her back. I put the agreement into my folder. Tomorrow morning, I'll have my lawyer send you the official version. Vivian looked up, and for the first time, panic showed in her eyes. Ethan, do you have to be like this? I grabbed my jacket.
Yeah.
She pressed on. What if the test results show AJ is your child? I stopped at the door. AJ held his breath, staring at me. I didn't turn around. Then I'll fulfill my obligations according to the agreement. The silence behind me was deafening. As I pushed the door open and walked out, I heard Vivian call my name softly. The sound was different from before. Before, when she called me, she was sure I would turn back. This time, she sounded like she was finally hearing the lock click shut. On field day, it rained. I was supposed to be in the science classroom on the west side of the school playground, helping AJ glue the tail fins onto his rocket model. But at 9 that morning, I sat in the company conference room, opening the design presentation for the new project. As the projector lit up, my phone was on silent, sitting on the corner of the table. The first time the screen lit up, it was Vivian. The second time, still her. The third time, Ms. Thompson. I didn't answer.
Jay, sitting next to me, whispered, "Ethan, your phone keeps lighting up."
I flipped to the third page of the drawings. It's fine. Halfway through the presentation, the screen lit up again. This time, it was AJ's number. I knew it wasn't his phone. Vivian had handed hers to the child. I watched the screen go dark and continued explaining the structural changes. My voice was steady. So steady it felt foreign to me. At 10:30 during the break, I went to the break room and called Ms. Thompson back. The moment the call connected, it was chaos on the other end. In the background, there were children laughing, chairs scraping, and Vivian's muffled apologies.
Ms.
Thompson's tone was strained. Ethan, AJ's mom brought him, but they didn't bring all the materials. The kid's having a meltdown.
What's missing?
The rocket tail fins and the battery box. AJ said the materials are with you. I looked toward the conference room. There was indeed a spare set of materials in my laptop bag. I had seen it while packing last night and hadn't thrown it away. I can't make it right now.
Ms.
Thompson paused. Could you drop the materials off at the security gate?
Or have a colleague bring them?
Before I could answer, AJ's voice came through the phone.
Dad, can you come?
His voice was hoarser than yesterday. Everyone else's dad is here. My hand tightened around the paper cup. The hot water burned my fingertips. I set the cup down.
Let mommy help you.
AJ cried. Mommy doesn't know how. Vivian's voice cut in, tired and strained.
Ethan, I'm begging you.
Just get through today. Don't let the kid be embarrassed in front of his classmates. I looked out the window. Rain slid down the glass in streaks. Before, I was always terrified of AJ being embarrassed. When he forgot his lines in the kindergarten play, I held up cue cards from the audience. When he came in last in the field day race, I ran to the finish line and hugged him, saying he was already amazing. When his first craft project was a crooked mess, I stayed up all night to fix it into the best one in the class. I always thought, he's still young. I can support him a little longer. After holding him up for so long, he really thought he was standing on solid ground.
I said, what about Marcus?
The line went silent. After a moment, Vivian said quietly, he got called in for an emergency consultation at another hospital. I let out a small laugh. Pretty busy. She flinched, her voice turning sharp. Ethan, you don't have to bring him up in every sentence.
You could stop mentioning me.
What? From now on, handle school stuff with him. On the other end, AJ suddenly wailed. I don't want Uncle Marcus anymore.
I want Dad.
A colleague passed by the break room, slowed for a second, then quickly moved on. I lowered my eyes. AJ, after the event, have Mom take you home. He sobbed, gasping for air.
You're really not coming?
No.
Then what about my rocket?
I glanced at my laptop bag. Inside was a spare tail fin I'd tossed in last night on impulse. I hadn't even known why I took it.
Maybe old habits die hard.
Seeing something my kid might need, it instinctively packed a backup. I unzipped the bag and pulled out the materials. In the clear pouch, the edges of the tail fin were already sanded smooth, no sharp bits.
The battery box was tested too.
I stared at it for a few seconds, then shoved it back in. You can get through a day without a rocket. The line went completely quiet. Vivian took the phone back, her voice low and hoarse. Ethan, I don't even recognize you anymore.
You'll get used to it.
I hung up.
Back in the meeting room, Jay placed a freshly printed blueprint on my desk. He hesitated. Ethan, everything okay at home? I sat down and flipped open the file. From now on, there'll be a lot less going on. Jay didn't get it and didn't dare ask. In the afternoon, Vivian sent me a photo. In it, AJ sat in a corner of the classroom. Other kids had adults beside them, tables covered with colored paper, glue, and models. In front of him was only half a crooked paper tube. Vivian messaged, "Are you satisfied now?" I stared at it for a long time. AJ's eyes were red in the photo, his lips pressed tight, like he was holding back tears. I turned off the screen. At 4 in the afternoon, Miss Thompson called again. "Ethan," AJ's fever flared up again. His mom got called into the hospital last minute and said to leave him at school. "It's already dismissal time." I asked, "Did she arrange for someone to pick him up?"
She said shed contact, Marcus.
"Did she get through?"
Ms.
Thompson paused. Marcus said Hez on his way, but it's been an hour. I looked up at the clock on the wall. 4:20.
Can you come?
Ms.
Thompson's voice softened. "The kid's running a low fever and won't stop crying." I didn't answer right away. Outside, the rain had stopped, the ground slick and wet. From my office to the school, it was a 15-minute drive. I knew the route too well. Which roads were prone to traffic? Which gate allowed temporary parking? When the security guard changed shifts, those details were still in my head, but I couldn't go. If I did, it'd slide right back into my old spot. Contact his mom.
Ethan.
Teacher. I'll text his mom. After hanging up, I sent Vivian a location pin.
The school.
Then I typed, "Your kid's waiting for you." She replied fast, "I'm outside the OR, about to go in." Marcus said Hez picking him up. I replied, "Then let him handle it." She didn't respond. At 5:30, the sky darkened. I went downstairs to get my car. Just as I reached the parking lot, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. AJ's crying voice came through. "Dad."
I stopped in my tracks.
"Whose phone are you using?" "The security guard's." He was sobbing, barely catching his breath. I waited so long. The teacher left too. The guard said if no one comes, he'll call the police.
I closed my eyes.
"Where's your mom?"
Mom said Uncle Marcus is coming.
And Marcus?
AJ paused, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. He said his car broke down. I gripped my car keys. The parking lot lights were blindingly white. He kept crying, "Dad, can you come just this once?"
Just once.
I heard the guard coaxing him. "Don't cry, kid."
Your dad will figure something out.
I said, "Put the guard on." A man's voice came on. "Hello, are you the parent?"
Hi, I'm the father.
I'll send you the mother's number.
"Please contact her directly. If you can't reach her, follow school protocol, call the police or the community." The guard was taken aback. "Huh? You're not coming?" "I'm not the current pickup person anymore." As I said it, my chest felt like something heavy was pressing down, but I didn't take it back. The guard was silent for a few seconds.
All right, I'll try the mom again.
Just before the call ended, AJ screamed through the line, "Dad, don't go." I stood in the parking lot, listening to the dial tone. The car keys dug into my palm. 10 minutes later, Vivian called. Her voice was shaking uncontrollably. "Ethan, you're so cruel." I said nothing. I just got off the operating table. The teacher said AJ was crying in the guard's office for over an hour. I opened the car door. "Then go pick him up." "I'm already on my way." She was panting like she was running and talking at the same time. Marcus said his car broke down, but I just called his colleague. He never left the hospital this afternoon. I got in the car and buckled my seatbelt.
Yeah.
Vivian seemed to finally crack, letting out a choked sob. "Ethan, was I too entitled before?" I stared at the rain streaks on the windshield.
No answer.
On the other end, I heard a car door close.
Then AJ's hoarse, tear-filled voice.
"Mommy, didn't Uncle Marcus say he was coming?"
Vivian didn't answer right away. Neither did I. That question echoed in the small car cabin. Then I hung up. Marcus truly distanced himself 3 days later at the parent-teacher conference. That day, Vivian couldn't get time off. Her director added an emergency surgery, and she was at the hospital by 6 in the morning. She called me 4 times. I didn't answer a single one. At 8:30, she messaged me. "Today's conference. AJ's teacher specifically asked for a parent to be there." I replied, "You're the guardian." After a long pause, she wrote, "I'm stuck at the hospital.
Can't leave."
I didn't respond. At 9:10, she sent another. I asked Marcus to go. I stared at the message, then turned off my phone. Half an hour later, Jennifer Liu sent me the final version of the divorce agreement. I sat at the small table in my hotel room, reading it page by page. The curtain was half open, sunlight falling on the paper. At this time in the past, it'd probably be sitting in the back row at school, setting AJ's water bottle on the corner of his desk, listening to the teacher talk about reading log, math facts, field day signups. Now, my phone had been quiet for a long time, until 11, when Vivian suddenly sent me a video. It wasn't her recording. Someone in the parent group had forwarded it to a smaller chat, and then someone sent it to her. The video was shot outside AJ's classroom door. Marcus stood in the crowd in a dress shirt, holding AJ's homework bag. At first, he looked composed. The homeroom teacher asked, "Are you AJ's dad?" The surrounding parents all turned to look. AJ stood nearby, his eyes lighting up, like he was waiting for Marcus to say yes. Marcus' smile faltered. "I'm a friend of his mom." The teacher looked awkward. Today's conference covers the kid's future academic plans. It's best if a direct parent attends. A nearby parent recognized him.
Isn't that Dr.
Leah's colleague Marcus? Another parent whispered, "I saw in a birthday video before the kid called him dad." Right? The voice wasn't loud, but the video picked it up clearly. Marcus' face changed. He handed the homework bag to the teacher. "There might be a misunderstanding. I was just asked to drop this off."
"I can't stay for the conference."
AJ looked up at him.
"Uncle Marcus, didn't you promise Mommy you'd stay for the whole thing?" Marcus bent down, lowering his voice. "AJ, something came up, but you said in the car you weren't busy today." The parents' expressions grew more complicated. Marcus straightened up, forcing a smile.
Kids say the darndest things.
AJ froze. It was probably the first time Marcus had publicly pushed him away.
Not busy. Not a broken car.
But right in front of all the parents, Head shoved AJ from the kid close to back to a friend's child. The teacher tried to smooth things over. "Well, maybe you could contact his mom." Marcus was already pulling out his phone, backing toward the hallway.
"I'll call her now."
The video ended there. Vivian immediately sent a voice message. I tapped it. Her voice was hoarse. "Ethan, did you see that?" I didn't reply. She sent another, "It's all over the parent group now. AJ hasn't spoken all day." Marcus said the parents misunderstood him, that it's bad for his reputation, and asked me not to have him do this again.
I stared at those lines.
There was no satisfaction in my heart.
Just a belated weariness.
She finally saw it, but she saw it too late. At noon, Vivian called again. I answered. Her first words were, "Marcus is transferring to a branch hospital."
Yeah.
He said the rumors are too much. Staying at the main hospital isn't good for either of us. I didn't respond. She let out a shaky laugh on the other end. Now I realize how fast he got scared. I opened my laptop, looking at a new project contract in my inbox.
"Did you need something?"
She was silent. Then she said, "Today the teacher told me AJ tore up his homework project in class." My fingers paused over the keyboard.
"Yeah. He said he doesn't want the rocket anymore."
I stared at the contract terms on the screen. Black text on white paper, crystal clear. Unlike the vague debts in a marriage, where calculations always dragged in old feelings. Vivian's voice dropped. "Ethan, he really knows he messed up." I said, "Knowing it hurts and knowing you're wrong, sometimes they're far apart." She caught her breath. I opened the email and downloaded the attachment. "Anything else? Tomorrow night, my department has a dinner. The director insisted I go."
AJ has no one to watch him.
Could you?
She stopped mid-sentence. In the past, she never had to finish. If she said AJ has no one, it'd take over.
She waited a few seconds.
I didn't pick it up. I said, "Call Marcus. Hez already blocked me." Those words fell, and both ends of the line went silent. I heard her take a very soft breath.
"I went to see him yesterday."
He said there was nothing between us, that I just didn't handle my family situation well, and it made him uncomfortable. I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Vivian wasn't angry. It was like she didn't have the energy to be angry anymore. He said he never intended to interfere with my marriage.
That's good.
Ethan. She suddenly called my name. Back then, did you have to listen to me say things like that over and over again? I stared at the computer screen. The contract had finished downloading. I opened it and checked each clause. Vivian talking about this now won't solve who's watching the kid tomorrow night. She went completely silent on the other end.
I hung up.
The next evening, a video from the department dinner showed up on Vivian's Moments. It wasn't posted by her. It was a group photo posted by a coworker. I wouldn't have seen it, but a college classmate sent me a screenshot. In the photo, Marcus was sitting next to the department head. Vivian was there too. Two people sat between them. She looked terrible, forcing a smile. Someone commented in the replies, "Marcus, why haven't you been bringing the little one around lately?" Marcus replied quickly, "A friend's kid, just helping out occasionally. Don't get the wrong idea, everyone." I stared at that line, then saved the screenshot. Half an hour later, Vivian called me. When I picked up, it was noisy on her end.
People were toasting, laughing.
But her voice sounded like it was coming from far away. "Ethan, can you come pick up AJ?"
Where is he?
The hospital break room.
"You brought a kid who just recovered from a fever to the hospital?" Her voice tightened. I had no one to watch him. Then ask for leave in advance. The department head wouldn't approve it.
Then hire a nurse or a babysitter.
It's too late. I can't find anyone. I glanced at the time in the bottom right corner of my screen. 9:40 p.m. Before, if she said she couldn't find anyone, it'd grab my coat and go. I rested my hand on the mouse. Vivian, handle it yourself tonight.
Someone called to her from her end. Dr.
Liu, Marcus is leaving.
Aren't you going to see him off?
Vivian didn't respond. A few seconds later, I heard the sound of her rushing footsteps. She must have gone to the hallway. Ethan, I'm begging you, just this once.
I begged you plenty of times too.
Her breathing faltered.
When?
I thought about it. 3 years ago, when AJ was hospitalized with pneumonia, I asked you to come back and stay with him for one night. She was silent. 2 years ago, on field day at school, I asked you to take half a day off. She still didn't speak. Last month I asked you why Marcus was always showing up around AJ. On the other end of the line, all that was left was her soft crying. You were busy back then. From the other end of the hallway, Marcus' voice suddenly came through.
Vivian, your kid woke up and keeps crying.
You should go check on him. I really have to go now. I've got things to do tomorrow.
Vivian clung to it like a lifeline.
Marcus, can you take him home for me?
It'll be done soon. Marcus lowered his voice, but it still carried into the phone. It's not appropriate for me to take him. People in the department are already gossiping. AJ just got over his fever. He just wants to go home. Vivian, don't make things complicated. That phrase again. I heard Vivian stay silent for a long time. Then AJ's hoarse, crying voice came from a distance. Mom, did Uncle Marcus leave? Vivian answered, her voice trembling badly. AJ asked, is he not going to take care of me again? She hung up. I sat at my desk, staring at the now dark screen. A few minutes later, Vivian sent a message. I'm taking him home.
I didn't reply.
After a long while, she sent a second one. Ethan, today I finally understand.
I looked at that line.
I didn't open the input box.
Vivian came to see me with AJ half a month later. I had just moved into a new apartment that day.
1 bedroom, 1 living room. Not big. Close to the Gensler office.
The living room was still piled with unpacked boxes, and by the window sat a new work desk. No kid's water cup on the surface, no homework books, no hair clips Vivian used to leave lying around. It was so quiet, it felt empty. I was carrying in the last box of books when footsteps came from the elevator. Vivian stood there holding AJ's hand. AJ had his little backpack on and was clutching a cardboard box.
The box had an old label on it.
Rocket materials, I didn't let them in.
Vivian's eyes flickered lightly as she looked at the slippers by the door. Those men's slippers were new. There were no kids' slippers, and no pair of her usual beige cotton slippers. You moved. Yeah. She pressed her lips together.
Why didn't you tell me?
I looked at her.
She caught on quickly and gave a bitter smile.
Right.
AJ took a small step forward.
Dad, this is your stuff.
He held the box up. It was a bit heavy, and his wrist wobbled. I took it and set it by the door. I didn't bend down to hug him. AJ's hands were empty now, fidgeting with his backpack straps. Head lost some weight in half a month. His hair was cut shorter, with a little tuft sticking up on his forehead. Before, I would have pressed it down and called him a little hedgehog.
Today, I didn't reach out.
Vivian watched my movements, and the rims of her eyes slowly turned red.
Ethan, can we talk inside?
Let's talk here. She glanced down the hallway and lowered her voice. The neighbors will hear.
Then keep it down.
She was caught off guard, a hint of embarrassment flickering across her face. AJ suddenly said, Dad, I want to see your new home. I looked at him. There was hope in his eyes, and fear too. This isn't your home. His face went pale. Vivian immediately crouched down and pulled him close, looking up at me.
Do you have to say it like that?
I didn't answer.
The elevator doors opened again. A neighbor came out carrying groceries, slowed down when they saw us, then quickly looked away and walked off. Vivian waited until they were gone, then pulled a document envelope out of her bag. I read the agreement. Yeah, the house gets sold and split proportionally. Custody goes to me. Child support at the standard rate. Necessary medical and educational expenses split proportionally. Her voice got a little hoarse as she spoke. You're really not going to cover anything extra? It's all clearly stated in the agreement.
What about the Juilliard prep class?
Whoever wants to keep it pays for it. What about space camp? That's what has always wanted most. The person who signs him up is responsible. AJ said quietly, I don't want to go anymore. Vivian's tears fell. She wiped them away quickly, like she didn't want me to see. Ethan, has been really good lately. He does his homework without me having to push him after school, and he doesn't beg for burgers anymore. He doesn't even want that gizmo watch anymore. I looked down at AJ's wrist. It was bare. There was still a faint red mark on it. AJ pulled his hand back into his sleeve.
Dad, I really know I was wrong.
He said it slowly, like he'd practiced it over and over on the way.
What did you do wrong?
His lips moved. I shouldn't have called Uncle Marcus Dad. And he looked at Vivian. Vivian said quickly, AJ, tell him yourself. AJ lowered his head. I shouldn't have said you were stingy.
And?
Tears started streaming down his face. I shouldn't have pushed away the cake you made. When he said that, he started crying out loud. That rocket cake, I wanted to eat it later, but Mom said it was already thrown away. Vivian closed her eyes.
I looked at him.
That cake really was thrown away that day. After I left Capitol Grill, Vivian took him home crying, and the relatives dispersed. When the waiter cleared the table, they took the rocket cake and the paper plate away together. I said, it's in the past. AJ looked up. He seemed to think those words meant I forgave him, and a little light flickered in his eyes. Then I added, next time you want one, have Mom buy it for you. That little light went out quickly. Vivian couldn't take it anymore. Ethan, I've already deleted all of Marcus' contact info. I didn't say anything. He got transferred to another branch. Everyone in the department knows there's nothing between us. She paused, then added quietly, I also know he's not reliable. I looked at her. So, her tears fell again. So now I know I was wrong. I took everything you gave me for granted and valued his little bit of company too much.
Ethan, can we start over?
The hallway light fell on her face. She looked much more worn out than half a month ago. Dark circles under her eyes, her lips pale. Reality had really ground her down. The kid work, school, housework, gossip, Marcus backing out. It all landed on her. But these burdens hadn't appeared out of nowhere. Someone used to carry them for her. I said no. It was like Shed expected it, but also like those two words still stung, because her shoulders trembled slightly.
AJ cried and tugged at my shirt.
Dad, don't leave me. I looked down at his hand, small, clenched tight. I reached out and pried his fingers off one by one. Vivian stood up.
Ethan.
I put AJ's hand back in front of him.
He'll pay your child support every month on time.
AJ was crying so hard he could barely breathe. I don't want child support. That's what I'm supposed to give. I want you to pick me up from school.
Have Mom do it?
She's always late. Vivian's face went pale. I looked at her. Her lips moved, but no words came out.
AJ kept crying.
And Uncle Jay won't come either. I crouched down. He thought I was going to hug him, and lunged forward. I reached out and held his shoulders, not letting him fall into my arms.
AJ.
He looked at me through his tears.
When you wanted a dad, your dad had already been sent away by you.
When those words landed, he froze completely. Vivian covered her mouth, tears slipping through her fingers. I stood up and picked up the cardboard box by the door.
I got your stuff.
Vivian quickly pulled another document out of her bag. Then can we not sell the house first?
AJ is still in school.
Moving would be too disruptive for him. I looked at her. You can buy out my share.
Her expression changed.
I don't have that much money right now. Then list it. Ethan, that's the home we lived in together for 7 years.
Yeah.
I set the box down in the entryway.
So sell it. The document in her hand slowly drooped.
AJ was still crying. The motion sensor light in the hallway went out once, then flickered back on with his sobs. I didn't say anything else. Vivian finally took his hand and led him away. Before she left, she turned back and looked inside the apartment. On the new table by the window sat the desk lamp I'd just unpacked. Its light was a cold white. There was no trace of the old home in it.
Ethan.
Her voice was very soft.
Will you still come see AJ?
I said, the agreement has a visitation schedule. She gave a bitter smile.
You really say everything by the book now.
I looked at her. It's clearer that way. The elevator doors opened. AJ was crying, refusing to go in. Vivian picked him up. He lay over her shoulder, then suddenly reached out to me. Dad, I want to go home. I held the door handle.
Your home is with your mom.
The elevator doors slid shut slowly. AJ's cries were sealed inside. When the hallway fell quiet, I opened the cardboard box. Inside was the rocket model kit. One tail fin was missing. Dried glue was stuck to the paper tube. At the very bottom was a crumpled My Family poster board project. There had originally been 3 stick figures on it. The one in the middle, with Marcus written on its shirt, had been scribbled out with black pen. The figure labeled Dad had a hole rubbed through the paper from an eraser. I stared at it for a long time, then put it back in the box.
I didn't throw it away.
I didn't take it out either.
The day the divorce certificate was issued, The weather was beautiful. A few camphor trees stood in front of the family court, their leaves rustling in the wind. Vivian stood at the bottom of the steps, holding the red certificate, her eyes visibly swollen.
AJ wasn't there.
She said he had exams these 2 days and was emotionally unstable. I nodded. I didn't ask about his grades or whether he'd eaten breakfast. Vivian looked at me like she was still waiting for something else. She waited a long time, but nothing came. She lowered her head and laughed softly. Before, when AJ had exams, you were more nervous than me. Yeah. He called out for you in his dream last night. I put the certificate into a file folder. From now on, you don't need to tell me things like that. She looked up, tears suddenly welling in her eyes.
Ethan, don't you miss him at all?
I looked toward the street. A taxi pulled over, and a family of 3 got out. A little girl was hopping and skipping toward the photo studio next to the family court, her father yelling for her to slow down, her mother carrying a bag and smiling.
An ordinary scene.
I used to have one too.
When AJ was little, he always ran ahead. Afraid he'd fall, I always kept my hand stretched out. Back then, Vivian would laugh at me for being so nervous. She'd say, kids have to learn to run on their own. I'd say, then I'll be right behind to catch them. I caught him for so long.
So long that they both forgot I could get tired too.
Whether I miss him and whether I go back are 2 different things. Vivian's tears fell. Now I finally realize how much you did back then. I didn't respond to that. She wiped her tears, her voice very low.
I sold the house.
I looked at her.
The agent will contact you for the paperwork.
She sniffled. AJ cried for days. He said that was where you measured his height. On the living room door frame was a row of pencil marks. AJ from age 3 to 7. Every birthday, I made him stand against the door, back straight, and drew a line. The last one was drawn on the morning of his birthday this year. That day, he was so excited, saying he'd tell Uncle Marcus about his growth spurt that night. I looked away.
Take a photo for keepsake.
Vivian was stunned.
Don't you want that piece of door frame?
I looked at the divorce certificate in her hand.
No need.
Her lips turned pale, as if those 2 words had stung her. Just then, a black car pulled over by the curb.
The window rolled down, revealing Marcus' face.
When Vivian saw him, she froze completely. Marcus hadn't expected to run into us here either. A young woman sat in the passenger seat, looking down at her phone. She looked up, her gaze sweeping over Vivian's face.
Marcus, running into someone you know?
Marcus gripped the steering wheel, a flicker of unease crossing his face. Former colleague. Vivian stood at the bottom of the steps, her face slowly draining of color. She had once made her son call this former colleague Dad, made me the extra person in the house. Now, with 4 words, he had pushed her to the side of the road, someone too awkward to introduce. The woman smiled.
Should we say hi?
We still need to get to the wedding dress fitting.
Wedding dress fitting?
Vivian's fingers clenched tightly.
Marcus didn't get out of the car, just nodded at us.
Vivian, Ethan, long time no see.
I didn't respond. Vivian didn't move either. The window rolled back up quickly. The car merged into traffic, turned at the corner, and disappeared. Vivian suddenly crouched down. She didn't cry out loud, just kept trembling. I stood beside her, not reaching out to help. After a long time, she looked up, her makeup badly smudged.
Ethan, how did I ever think he was better?
I watched the traffic.
Because he didn't have to take responsibility.
She froze, then slowly lowered her head.
That sentence wasn't meant to insult her.
But it hurt her more than any insult could.
I turned to leave.
She suddenly called out to me.
Ethan, can AJ see you once a week?
Per the agreement, Hez been really scared of being picked up from school lately. I paused mid-step. Vivian's voice was choked with tears. You used to always be the first one at the school gate. Now he asks me every day if you'll be there. I held the file folder.
Tell him I won't be.
Her tears fell again.
Are you just cutting him off like that?
I turned back to look at her. Vivian, I haven't cut off his child support. I haven't refused the required visitation. I haven't shirked my legal obligations. Everything else you took from me yourselves. She covered her mouth, unable to speak anymore. I left the family court and went to the old house. The agent had already brought people to see it. There were strange footprints in the living room. The family photo on the wall had been taken down by Vivian, leaving only a faint square mark. By the door of the kids' room, those height marks were still there. I stood there looking at them for a while. Next to the top line was written, 7 years old, little astronaut. I had written those words. That morning, AJ stood by the door, on his tiptoes, insisting he'd grown another centimeter.
I teased him for cheating.
He lunged at me, hugging my waist, and said, Dad, when I fly a rocket, it'll take you to the moon. I reached out and touched those words. Dust clung to my fingertip. My phone rang. Vivian had sent a voice message. I tapped it. AJ's voice came through. Very low. Dad, today, the teacher asked us to write about the person I'm most grateful to. I wrote about you. There was a rustle of paper. He seemed to be reading his essay. I used to think Dad was too strict. Wouldn't let me eat too much fried chicken. Wouldn't let me play on the iPad too long. Always made me go to bed on time. Later I realized, when no one's watching over you, it hurts too. He paused for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was choked.
Dad, I'm not asking you to come back.
I just wanted to tell you, I won't call anyone else Dad anymore. The message ended there. Vivian didn't send any more texts. I stood at the door of the kids' room, listened to it a second time. Then I put the phone back in my pocket. This time, I didn't reply. I took the sandpaper out of my toolbox and, little by little, sanded away those height marks on the door frame. The pencil lines were very faint. By the end, only a blurry trace remained in the wood grain. The room was very quiet. Outside the window, someone was passing by with a child. The kid was clamoring for ice cream, and the father said they'd buy it after dinner. The voices gradually faded away. I put away the sandpaper and went to the master bedroom to get my last box of belongings. At the very bottom of the wardrobe was that DNA paternity test kit. The seal was still intact. I picked it up, looked at it for a few seconds, walked to the kitchen and threw it in the trash. The box fell, hitting the bottom of the bin with a soft thud. Before I left, I placed the keys on the dining table. When the door closed, no one in the house called out for me. The elevator went all the way down. My phone buzzed again. Jennifer Liu, Esquire. Sent a message. The follow-up property procedures are confirmed.
Signing tomorrow afternoon.
I replied, okay. As I walked out of the neighborhood, it was almost dark. There was a new security guard at the gate. He didn't recognize me. I carried my box out, passing by the cake shop on the corner. In the display window sat a rocket cake, small with blue frosting and a star stuck on the tail. I paused for a few seconds. The shop assistant came out and asked, "Sir, would you like to order one?" I shook my head. No need. I kept walking forward. The shop window light behind me was still on, shining onto the wet sidewalk. I didn't look back.